Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm here with a guest today. Why don't you introduce yourself?
I'm Eric. I am dating Gary's wife's cousin, Leah.
Yeah, and you're from USA.
Yep.
Whereabouts?
From US. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, right in the middle of the US, for those of you who don't know the US.
And Eric is another American that's decided, okay, it's time to move to the Philippines. I've had enough of America, and that might not be the reasons, but it seems to be just more and more people coming from America to the Philippines to retire.
Yeah.
It seems to be pretty common these days.
Yeah, my journey started, I say 2.5 to 3 years ago. I started to research moving to the Philippines for retirement. Probably initially, like a lot of people in the U.S. go to Florida or Arizona in the winter, to get away, and then they go back to where they live. So that's kind of how it started. I was with somebody at the time in the U.S., so it was not a girl thing. A lot of people start out, they get tired of the dating scene in the U.S. That's what I think that's the most common reason guys come here.
Yeah.
Some for money, because the affordability. But for me, it was just really about like a second retirement home. I've got a few friends that are married to Filipinas, so that's really where I got the idea.
Yeah.
And I've known Filipinos in the U.S. So that's where my journey started. I researched it off and on for a couple years. Middle of last year, I started researching it pretty heavily, knowing I was going to retire. And at the time, I was still with somebody. That changed. The girl I was seeing, it just wasn't going to happen, And so when that was going on, I came across Leah's channel.
Okay, that's my wife.
Yeah, Filipino Family Life with Leah. And among others, right? Other channels I watched. And I started noticing Jel. Jel was Leah's cousin.
Yeah.
So
she pops up in a few videos.
I saw her in several, and what caught my eye, obviously, besides the fact that I thought she was, very attractive, was she's funny. She's always in the background, kind of like the rainstorm we're getting here.
I know. Good timing, huh?
It's probably making the video loud, but sorry, guys. And after, some weeks of watching several hours of videos where she was in them, I sent your wife an email with I'll call it a resume. This is who I am. Send her a picture. If she's available, I'd like to meet her. Well, about 24 hours later, I was on a video call with Jel. And within 2 months, I came to see her.
Wow. So you had 2 months, then you were actually just doing
we
video calls?
spoke every day.
Like long video calls every day, or?
No, not always. She was working as a nanny, in Manila, and so some days we could talk 15, 20 minutes. Rarely more than that. Some days it was a few short 3 or 5 minute phone calls. So we just did the best we could. We would message, but we would try to video call every day. And so I've been here. I made 3 trips in the past year until my latest. This is the 4th trip. I'm here permanent. Those 3 trips I stayed a combined 2 months about total. Spent time with you guys as well. And Joe and I, we hit it off right away. It was.
Yeah. And so the first time you came out here, and you said it was about 2 months.
Yeah.
Was that, you obviously thought that this could be someone you could get on with?
Yeah.
It's a great rainstorm, isn't it?
Yeah, oh yeah.
It's like it hasn't rained this heavy.
It's raining cats and dogs.
Just as soon as we turn the record on.
Yeah.
That's okay. It adds to the fun. So anyway, you had a couple of months with this, I guess, LDR, but did you decide at that point, because maybe you've watched a lot of vloggers, you thought, look, I want to get out here and make sure this is legit and real and see for myself in person. Was that your real motivation at that time to get out there? Or?
Yeah, there was this is a whole different world. So, it's understandable why guys are reluctant to. It's one thing to think about coming over here or to dream about it, but then to actually do it, you're like, there's a lot of, the driving, the weather, the food, language issues, dogs, roosters. There's, all kinds of reasons to be afraid to come here. But the only way to really know if you can put up with it is to come here. So
I'm always, and me and my wife are always trying to advise people that are in long distance relationships, make a trip out here, come check out the person, and you might see things you don't see when you're doing the video, and it's a different experience, right? From having a relationship online to in person. It's really different. A lot of people go months and months, sometimes years, thinking they're getting to really know somebody, and thinking they're really falling in love with somebody, and then when they come out here, everything has changed. And I know so many situations like that.
I don't care if you spent 4 hours a day on the phone. It's not the same. It's just not.
No.
You've got to go through having meals together and having family, everybody's got family issues they have to deal with at some point in life. Going through that, kids. I mean, Jill has a daughter.
Right.
You can't be sure you're going to want to spend your life with somebody until you spend. You just can't.
Yeah, and you actually made 3 trips here, which is really good. I mean, you didn't just do one trip. Oh yeah, this is the one, I'm coming out here. You took your time. You did your due diligence, and which is what everybody should do. So it took you 3 times, and then you decided, yep, I'm convinced this is the one for me. And this is now a year into your relationship.
Yeah.
And you decided, yep, this is the one for me. And you made a decision that you are going to move out here permanently. And how difficult of a decision was that? I mean, I know you said that you'd been thinking about it, but now you're actually doing it. And you're with a much younger girl and all that. So how difficult was that decision, and did you get resistance from your family?
My family is, I'll say, relatively conservative, not crazy conservative. But yeah, my mom and my sister in particular were really reluctant. Now my mom's gotten over it. But she still, she misses me. I'm the family repairman. I fix everything.
Not anymore.
Yeah. So, yeah, they're worried for me, not worried about me as much. If something happens, and so yeah, I think everybody, if you're close to your family, you're probably going to have some family that not everybody's going to just be, hey, this is great. But now, most of my friends and family, that is how they felt. They were excited for me. Happy I'm trying a new adventure, want to hear about it. So, the vast majority of people are happy.
Did you get any haters that was sort of like, you just want to go out there for the young girls? And
nobody that would say anything.
That's good.
No.
That's good. All right, so you
I think to answer that question though, there were a few people that, again, they don't know anything about, nothing about the Philippines or any other country. And their first impression is, you're going to a developing country, the girls just want your money, because that's, if you don't know anything, that's probably the common belief.
It's pretty common.
Which is understandable.
Yeah, it is. So,
it's not the issue over here.
No.
It happens, but...
Right. So you're here, been here, I'm trying to think now, 2 months? 6 weeks?
Yeah, 5 or 6 weeks.
All right, so what I really want to know now is, what has been the biggest challenges for you since you arrived here, because it's different when you come on a vacation as such, right?
Yep, you're
the
right.
mindset, just the things you do. But now you're coming over here, you're having to set up home, buy a car, and all the other things. So what have been the biggest challenges for you, and the things you're having trouble
setting
adjusting
up a household
to? Okay, talk about some of the experiences you've had.
So I bought a car. I'll just answer a few questions you hear on a lot of videos, a lot of vlogs. People ask, can you buy a car or motorcycle if you're not a resident or have a long-term visa, or even what's called the ACR card, which is, what is that? Alien something. It's a card they issue to foreigners.
Alien certificate of registration?
Yes, that's it. You don't get the ACR card until you've been here 2 months. So, yes, you can buy a car. Yes, you can buy a motorcycle. So that was not, it wasn't that big a deal buying the car. Now, the strange thing is, you buy it, the dealer does the registration, and in most cases, the dealer does the insurance, at least initially. So you get the car, it has temporary tags, and legally, you can't drive it. You can drive it home that day, and that's it. Now, that's not what happens, because everybody knows over here, you buy a new car, you don't get your plates for 2 or 3 months, and there's nothing you can do about it. Nobody bothers you. That took me, I like to do things in order, and I don't like the half-ass stuff, so that's I'm used to it now. I've had cops behind me, literally right behind me 3 times in the last few days. They don't bother with you, They know the car's registered.
Yeah, there's no traffic cops out here.
No, there's no traffic cops.
At least not here. Yeah, just one of those, like, what do they call them?
The Philippine National Police do the checkpoints, and that's the only time I've heard a few stories where they can confiscate your car.
I've never heard of anybody nobody that I know experienced that.
Motorcycles, it happens.
Yeah, motorcycles, I think, but
They're
not with a car. Not with a car. But it is strange that they have that. I mean, they make you sign, even with motorcycles and cars, you have to sign a document. Basically, they're not responsible if you drive the car.
So the issues I've had, to get back to the question, before I've either stayed in hotels or at Jell's house. Jell has a house, and I've spent, a few weeks worth of time, probably half of the 2 months I spent at her house. Small jungle house, pad on the concrete floor. It's living in the province, as they say. Dipper baths with a dipper and cold water. You adjust. Some people don't want to deal with that, but
no, thank you.
It wasn't that big a deal. You get used to it.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, it really wasn't. Finding a house, that's the biggest headache I've had. Yeah. So, Dumaguete, Valencia, Darwin, Bakong area, it's so funny. So many people come here because of vloggers, and I would tell you that most people, you're better off I would go to Cebu. If I had not met Jell, I would have gone to Cebu. There's more Western things there. There's more usable public transportation, I'll call it. You don't need a vehicle there.
By the way, I agree with you on that.
And it's easier
if you're single.
Yeah, if you're single.
If you're looking for someone, there's easy to find people.
Yeah.
In that area, Dumaguete is small, and it's a great place for families, I think. In fact, we have a family now, so wouldn't you agree with that? It's a great place for families.
Oh yeah,
much better than being in the city for.
But Dumaguete is not. It's not the place to go if you're single. And frankly, right now it's a pain in the rear end to try to find a good place to rent. We're doing a month-to-month thing right now, and the place we're at's fine. But houses come on the market and they're gone sometimes before you can even message the person.
Anything decent, we've talked about this, is you got to, within a couple of days, you better be on it, or you're not going to get it if it's a decent place.
The housing thing has consumed a lot of our time.
And still looking.
And I admit it. That's the kind of thing to me that makes, I'm not relaxed and having fun, quote unquote, all the time because of, I'm always concerned, well, how long can we stay in our apartment? Well, are we going to find another, where are we going to live next? That's stressful for most people. Yeah.
So change subjects a little bit, because I have some questions I want to ask you about your relationship. Now, you've been with Jell, you've been obviously 6 weeks now, you've been living with her. She's the longest stretch of time with her. And previously, when you're in LDR and then you got this 2-week vacation here and there, everybody's always on their best behavior. You know that. It's like new dating. So now you've been with her for 6 weeks, especially, and this is the first Filipino you've ever dated, right?
Yeah.
So now you've been with her 6 weeks. What challenges are you finding with dating a Filipina? And are you having any things that are surprising you, good or bad? And before you answer this, because I mentioned you in a video with my wife the other day when we were talking about the issues of jealousy, just to remind you that's one of. So share a little bit about Now you've been, and remember, Jill's good. She's out there.
Yeah.
So be careful. She might be listening. But,
and you do have knives in your kitchen too. So
we
I
do,
gotta
big
be
ones.
careful.
So yeah, go ahead.
I had dated another Asian not long before I met her. So I had experience with some of the issues you have. One of which is, they all speak some English, right? That's one of the positives about Filipinas, but most of them are not what you would call completely fluent, right? They speak pretty well, some better than others, some not so good. Every once in a while we'll have a little frustration between us where she didn't understand me, I didn't understand her.
Right.
We usually get through that. The jealousy thing, we haven't had a lot of issues, but there's been a couple little minor things. And I just try to address it for what it is and just say, if I'm looking around and we're in the grocery store, which is, we're the...
Yeah, well, share that little story.
So we're in the grocery store, long line. There's like 10 people in each line. So you're standing there and, and then, of course, the people in front of us, a couple people in front of us have, they pull 6 things out of their cart and they pay for it. And then they're talking. And then they had like 3 carts, right? Then they have another cart they pay. And you're just like, what? And so, you start to get irritated. That's not a Philippines thing. That happens in the U.S. too, where people are just messing around. They're taking forever. And then they're talking. And you're just like, so, I'm getting not mad, but I'm just like, okay, I'm just trying to not pay attention. Just try to relax. So I'm just kind of staring, looking around. I'm looking everywhere in the store. There's a lot going on in these stores. There's a lot of people. Well, there just so happens to be this girl who is behind us, directly behind us, who I didn't even look at her. It's one of those deals where I could see out of the corner of my eye she was probably attractive, and she was dressed
Sexy.
like she was going out on a date, okay? And I never actually directly looked at her. I'm looking, past her and around her, because I know if I look and she sees me looking at her, it's going to be a problem. Well, that didn't work so well because she assumed I was looking at her. She was up in front of the counter at this other counter to get a prize for just some random drawing thing. So she sees me. She sees me one time turn around, and I'm just looking back, but this girl is like right there, so she assumes I'm staring at her. Well, that caused a little bit of tension, a little tempo, but just it wasn't a big deal. But she said something. I'm just like, I'm telling you, I was not staring at her. I know better than to stare.
Exactly.
But it didn't matter because in her eyes, she assumed I was and thought I was, and I made a point of not staring at this girl. Just because I know, they're very jealous over here. And to clarify, because, not everybody has seen hundreds of hours of videos over here, Filipinos are jealous, but it's because to them, we're the prize. I know, I don't look like a prize in America, but over here, we are what a lot of them desire to have. And so they know that there's several other Filipinas out there that will try to, quote unquote, steal their man away. And so they're protective. I get it, I get it because we do get a lot of looks, That's going back to the culture thing. That is a strange thing. Nobody stared at me in the U.S. I'm just some average.
Takes a while to get used,
just some average guy, And even the first time I came over here, it was obvious, and I don't mean like, some 300-pound woman who never seen a man. I'm talking about the most beautiful women wherever you're at, and they're obviously checking you out, and it's an amazing feeling, but it's also, for me, being shy, very uncomfortable. And so, so that kind of is why they're very jealous. And I think that's universal. There's just different levels of it. Though it's not a daily occurrence. You know, we don't have issues. Now, you hear stories about guys that, like, their girlfriends are always mad because they're so jealous, but I don't have that issue.
No.
Yeah.
That's good. So apart from that, any other issues?
No, that was... But, you know, that had happened before. I would say the first trip is when she was very, you know, understandably so. She didn't know me that well, right?
No.
But she understands that, you know, okay, I'm looking around, I'm looking at everybody and everything. I'm a curious person. And so it doesn't bother her too much.
Okay.
Usually the few times it's happened, she's probably in a bad mood about something else to begin with. You know, I would say that's usually what happens. So, yeah, but, you know, traffic.
I was
driving.
I was going to ask you about that, the driving, especially since you only had your car a couple of weeks or so. How's that going for you?
I am shocked that I have owned this car now for maybe almost 3 weeks. I don't know. It's been 2.5, almost 3. I can't believe it hadn't been scratched yet. I really can't.
Saying that I've been a year and a half. Okay, I did have an incident with a dog, but that was a long time ago. But the amount of times I drive back and through town, and there's tricycles like that get this close to you, and the bikes weaving in and out, and nobody paying any attention. A year and a half, I literally am stunned. I haven't had a collision with anything yet.
I am too. You just see crazy things every day when you drive here. I don't know that I'll ever get used to it. You know,
no, I've been in Asia 13 years, and I'm not used to it. Well, no, I'm used to it. I just don't like it. I can't just accept it the way it is. You know?
Well, I'll give you another one with the relationship. So, the first few times we had to drive at night, which I had to drive at night the first day. Well, I'm in a rental car that has dark window tinting, that's scratched up and bubbled from age. It's horrible. You can't see, in the daytime. It's hard to see. And over here, you got all these scooters. They call everybody a scooter or a motor. Probably 10% don't have lights. Don't you think? I mean, I think that's a fair number.
How much?
10%.
Oh, I think more than that.
Yeah, it might be, but I mean,
I think more than
it's
that.
At least 10%.
At least, I would think more like 30%. Honestly.
And sometimes. You'll see somebody that has a small scooter or motorcycle, and they'll literally have like a little flashlight tied on just so they can say that they have a light on. And so she would get upset. She got upset a few times when we had to drive. I don't know. We had to drive pretty far somewhere. I don't remember where, and it was dark the whole way. Well, I'm not talking, and I'm driving like this because I am terrified of. I'm going to run over somebody on a bike or a scooter that, you know, you can't see them. And they not only have no lights on, but they'll have black shirts on, you know. It's like they purposely you can't see them. And this isn't like once in a month you'll see this happen. This is constant.
It is.
It's constant. So when you drive at night here, you almost have to be afraid. You should be, and drive like you're being attacked because otherwise you're going to kill somebody.
Sure.
So that's probably when I'm the most nervous here is driving at night. I hate it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I agree.
Now she understands. So, you know, getting to tie up the loose end. She thought, well, you know, was something, are you mad or something? Are you upset about something? I'm like, no, I'm hanging on for dear life, and I'm even afraid to even look at anything, especially at night, because I'm like, look at all these crazy people are driving, no lights, you know, you can't see, they walk out in front of you. I'm like, that's why I'm not talking, I'm trying to pay attention. So now she understands that.
Yeah, interesting. So anyway, all in all, we've been here a few weeks, everything's generally, you're getting used to stuff. You think you're going to be able to make that complete adjustment and call this place home?
There's times I question myself. There have been days when the house thing, you know, which you've been involved in some of, I shake my head and just think, this is driving me nuts. You know, I've lived in the same house in the U.S. for 27 years. I'm not used to jumping around and, you know, having to move my stuff and, you know, right now, but I always say, well, worst case scenario, we could always live in her house again if we had to. You know, there's, you know, other places we could stay temporarily, but I'll be much happier when we get a you know, a long-term lease on a house or apartment.
Yeah. Well, what we're going to have to do is when you do get that place, and after you've been here a few more months and you're settling, we're going to do another interview and see how things are progressing for you, and that'll be fun. I want to say thank you, and I want to thank you guys for watching, and we'll catch you next time.
Y'all come back.
Yeah. God bless.